give them some stronger picks.
Especially because they're going up against HeaQ and Hustlin, who really did not look very comfortable or impressive last week at all. So let's find out if Rekkles and Jesiz get their hands on some stronger picks. Also, is Amazing going to tunnel on that Lee Sin?
I don't think so. A lot of teams coming into week 1 thought Lee Sin was still a super contested pick, but he's been losing a lot in every region, and now we see him less and less. I think Amazing will get the Kha'Zix. He will get different jungle picks early on, depending obviously on what is banned. Jhin ban against Rekkles, very, very standard, because he is so good on that champion. You can then still trade Ashe for Varus. Giants, though, I think with first pick, there are like a few we're looking at right now. Jace is one of them because you can flex pick him. Kha'Zix is the other one because he's considered the best jungler after Rengar by a lot of teams. And then it's Malzahar and Zyra. These are like the 4 most common first picks I see. And if you don't ban one of the supports, you don't typically see Malzahar first pick. And that's why I'm looking at like a Jace or a Kha'Zix.
All right, Lee Sin has been taken off the table by Giants, so Amazing won't be able to fall back to it. Kha'Zix is still up as well, so we're definitely going to see Amazing on something different today, and Giants can go with one of these picks.
They have to take Kha'Zix here, because if you ban the Lee Sin, you have to take Kha'Zix to try and push Amazing further away or further down in terms of his champion pool, because otherwise you're just giving him a Sin, and I think every jungler in the world right now will take that trade.
Is there another pick that's worth locking in, like the Rise for somebody like Knights?
I feel like the Rise pick is out of respect if they went with it, but there's the Kha'Zix we mentioned. I think with the Lee ban, it had to be it. Jace might come in as a response from Fnatic, and I like to see Malzahar or Zyra as well, because I think both those supports are just so powerful, but they might be happy again trading, and therefore not feeling like they have to grab them. I want to see bot lane, though, and something like Jace from Fnatic.
All right, so bot lane from Fnatic. There is the Ashe, already a step in the right direction. We could feel for Fnatic, and exactly as predicted, Deficio. Look into your crystal ball. Where do Giants go now? Jace is still on the table if they wanted to take it.
Yeah, they can still do that, but typically you want to get your Varus pick here against this Ashe to make sure you don't get it banned away and you fall too far down in the AD carry pool. So like Zyra Varus is a very strong lane, especially against Malzahar specifically, and I think that would be the most obvious pick here and the best pick from Giant's side. Just try and match that bot lane power. See if you can deal with Jesiz and Rekkles, especially like Zyra against Malzahar. I think it's actually a winning lane for Zyra specifically.
There was 2 games for HeaQ on Varus last week. This will be the 3rd. It is locked in. Last rotation for Fnatic. Do they look towards a jungler, or do they lock in one of their solo lanes?
We could see Rise come in here into double mid lane ban, because with Giants and this jungle pick here, they need to ban then 2 junglers if they want to pinch that role. But there's so many junglers available after the top 2, like Rengar and Kha'Zix, are gone. Like we look at Rek'Sai, we look at Elise. A lot of these different picks are still available. I understand Fnatic grabbing a jungler to avoid that pinch from happening, but I think you could have gotten a bit more pressure near the mid lane, unless they want a last pick for Caps, because Katarina is still available, and that man has made some sick plays in solo queue on that champion.
He is. You and I were watching some of his plays leading into week 1. Did not go for that option. Jace is removed from the pool by Fnatic. Giants have an answer, and which role do they decide to pinch? Top or mid?
Yeah, it's actually very hard to predict second phase bans when everyone has matched role for role in the first phase. Because it's jungle, AD carry, support, the most common picks from both teams. And now it's just like, okay, we don't want to first pick a Jace, fair enough, then we can remove it because we don't want the other team picking it up. I think Fnatic are looking at something like Rise or that Katarina last pick as an option. But there's some good picks like Taliyah, Corki, Syndra. Like, there's actually so many mid lane options left. So keeping that for last pick for Caps would make a lot of sense.
We'll find out if Fnatic decide to prioritize that top or mid lane counter pick. No ban in the second phase for Giants. We'll have to find out whether that was intentional or accidental later. But Fiora's off the table here from Fnatic.
Yeah, and this tells me Fnatic wants to first pick their tank top laner, because they're removing some of their potential top lane counter picks that you can have on red side against tanks like Fiora. By removing them, it tells me they're just going to go like Nautilus or Maokai. One of the 2, just lock it in first and again save that mid lane last pick, because they're removing the counters. Then it just depends on preference for sOAZ, if he wants Nautilus or Maokai, in terms of my prediction here. I think Nautilus is fantastic against things like Varus. Want to play Syndra though. I would love to see you just have last pick for mid lane. When you have a player who can play Katarina, I'd love to see the last pick.
Especially when you consider on the side of Giants, it's Knight who's the man who's meant to carry. He's the superstar on the Giants squad, and if you can counter that role, theoretically, it should be easy to counter the whole team.
I think Knight might just go Ryze against the Syndra, take that skill matchup in mid, and see if he can actually win it. He doesn't have a ganking jungler, which is a problem though. What actually makes it harder for him than to play that matchup. Fnatic valuing getting a fairly easy setup with Syndra.
Gonna be different direction, Corki instead.
I guess again that comes down to what I just mentioned, like not having a ganking jungler on your side. You try and go for a pick with some mobility to actually escape a potential gank in the Corki. But a lot of mid laners like the early game for Syndra here in this matchup to put down pressure before Hexdrinker gets completed.
Illaoi into Maokai. Now, if there were a player to play something a bit unique, it wouldn't have been sOAZ at the tip of my tongue for Illaoi.
I think you would normally be like, all right, Caps gets his last pick, but no. Fnatic having some special things ready. Illaoi for top lane, a pick that we have seen in Europe before quite a few times. We were actually the region who kind of introduced it last year.
Yes, and I'm playing it this year.
We're still playing it this year. Insanely strong laning phase from Syndra and Illaoi against Maokai and Corki with an early game jungler in Elise. It's very clear what Fnatic is trying to do here.
Deficio, I can feel some nervousness, some trepidation in your voice. Is there an element of this team composition you don't like?
If you do not get these soul laners ahead, it becomes real difficult for you to win the game. Like really difficult. But you have so many ways to actually snowball these soul laners that I think the reward is higher than the risk.
Okay, so a lot of tools available to Fnatic as Nico the Pico and Lozark step off stage. Take a look at your team compositions one more time. Giants, in fact, ran out of time on that first ban in Phase 2. Maybe that allowed something to slip through the cracks. Illaoi into Maokai, hashtag FNC win, or hashtag GIA win. We are kicking off Giants versus Fnatic in the spring split of 2017. Put your hands together as we load onto the Rift.
And I think Fnatic's pick and ban phase here makes a lot of sense. I don't like people just calling pick and bans bad because there's some unique picks they don't expect. I think with very strong solo laners with early advantage and Elise versus Kha'Zix, Fnatic have a lot of ways to snowball both Caps and sOAZ, which is very strong. We talked about the Syndra pick coming in for Caps here, a pick he obviously likes a lot, and then Knight answering with Corki, where once you get level 6, once you get Hexdrinker, it's a fine lane for you, but before that, especially with the jungle who can gank, you can struggle a little bit.
Oh, very aggressive trading here between HeaQ and Rekkles. Rekkles continue to chase forward with that volley. No summoner spells blown, but this is going to allow some control here on the side of Fnatic. Also important to note, Hustlin was denied the opportunity to push those seeds very far forward. This is something that Deficio brings up every time Zyra's run into lane. And that will allow Rekkles to get out. Oh, no. Oh! Stops the back, and HeaQ was able to recall. So Rekkles decided to use the potion. That could swing some control to Giants if HeaQ gets back in lane.
Well, yeah, it's actually pretty huge. That's actually really huge and very greedy by Rekkles to recall in that bush. So there was even a chance for Hustlin to place a ward and find him, because this does cost you a potion. You can see AD carries, again, this is the new meta. They're starting longsword into 3 pots. Normally it's a biscuit you start as well, like we see here on HeaQ's side. And it's simply because most of the time you use these longswords to get these very early item spikes, like Ghost Blades or Warhammers that goes into Essence Reaver. So it just itemizes really well into your first item. A lot of Varus players now, Trevor, actually like to go tier serrated Dirk on the first back, and that's why again the longsword helps, because you're already halfway towards the serrated Dirk.
Yeah.
Only issue is in all lanes you have less HP. That is the problem.
So you die quicker.
You do die quicker.
Which means I yell more.
But you have more sustain, which means you yell less, because they just start hitting each other and no one drops low enough.
All right, people who are going to be hitting each other in the mid lane. Knight and Caps trading. That was a Thunderlord's proc from Caps. And, you know, taking a look at Caps, he was actually the most camped mid laner of week 1, had a jungle proximity from the opponent jungle of 31%. Now, Kha'Zix is not really that ganking jungler. You've touched on that already, Deficio. But in the early game, Syndra should have some fine time against Varus.
Yeah. Again, we talked about it, you know, pre-Hexdrinker Corki. It's fine for Syndra, also especially with Elise. Both junglers are on the top side, but it's Memento ganking first.
It is indeed. Amazing's very far away. sOAZ is already flashed. Tentacle Smash will buy a few seconds, but first blood for Memento. That was just too easy. Yeah,
and very interesting that sOAZ actually placed his own ward back in the tri-bush, so like very far back to prevent like Memento from jumping the Baron wall and then walking in that way to gank him, but it meant he couldn't see anything in the river. Luckily for him, he can TP back to lane, but a Kha'Zix getting that early gank instead of the Elise is definitely not what Fnatic was looking for.
Especially when Fnatic's team composition screams win lane.
Definitely one
of the options. We'll have to track the impact, but look at this. Caps, Scatter the Weak, stuns up Knight. Caps has pulled ahead in CS, and Amazing going to be sniffing around the top lane, but spotted up by a ward. You can instantly see the pings from Giants.
Yeah, it kind of sucks for Knight, you know, when he had to pick here, because ideally he can get his Rise and be like, great, I can take this matchup against Syndra, I can build some early MR, it's all going to be great. But then Elise is on the other side, and you're just like, nah, I don't really want to play this into Elise and Syndra, because one stun into Cocoon, I'm just dead instantly. At least you can Valk on Corki.
But you actually have to Valk. Oh, look at the stun! Look at the stun! Knight, he exhausts Caps and Valkyries away. I was convinced he was going down.
But this is what happens early on in this lane. Corki pre-6 is not very strong. It's very hard for him to win these trades. He also gets outranged by Syndra. So Caps getting some good pressure here early. Very important for him. Amazing. Has not been able to find any openings. Funny enough, because he was actually around mid and then Caps decided to do it on his own. So can't really blame Amazing for not being there instantly.
Did you catch the weather report this morning? Cloudy with the chance of thunderstorms. Too lame? Little lame.
Little lame.
All right.
I thought about doing a caster trick that's called fake laughing to show synergy between us. So if you say it again, I go like, ah, yeah. Great one, Trevor.
Instead, you decided to throw me under the bus.
I did, because
nice.
I think you deserve to get thrown under the bus after that fairly lame joke. First Mitch, and now you.
Thank you. You should bring yourself to our level, Deficio, because right now, we're looking at Fnatic pushing this bottom lane. Ashe, Malzahar into Zyra, Varus. Is it Rekkles and Jesiz that should be pushing this lane? And up this amount of CS by 5 minutes. What do you think?
No, I think if they played against Sven and Mithy in this matchup, Sven and Mithy on the Varus and Zyra side would be winning the lane at the moment. But I think there is a skill difference between Hustlin, HeaQ, and Jesiz and Rekkles in favor of Fnatic.
All right, so that's allowing Rekkles and Jesiz to keep pushing forward.
Especially because remember, Rekkles didn't get to recall level 1. He was down an extra potion, down some HP as well. And Giants have not been able to get control of it. We have to then say, on a professional, in a professional game, when your jungler on Giant side goes top, you automatically play a bit more passive on the bottom side. That's very standard.
Another good stun with the Thunderlord's proc. Knight is not having a good time in this lane. Caps is just, I think he's caught every stun when he's picked up that orb and lobbed it.
Oh, but look, Amazing is here again, but if Caps gets level 6, he doesn't even need Amazing. I actually would like to see Amazing put more focus topside, because Caps is double summoner and he's not afraid of a Kha'Zix gank. But sOAZ has no flash, so he needs to respect the Kha'Zix. Amazing might look for a dive, but again, like, they're tunneling, he doesn't need him. I know, Amazing, you just want to be friends with him, but he really do not need you right now. Go top, please.
Got to get that assist. Caps, no access to unleashed power yet. And that means no insta-give potential, plus 11 CS. And yeah, Amazing trying to make it work, but look at the difference. It's Memento who is up over Amazing, and Flaxxish doing very well in that lane, which theoretically Illaoi should have the advantage in, obviously ganking early.
Ganked early, and jungler is not around sOAZ, so sOAZ can't push out the lane without flash. And again, that's the pro communication we talk about. Like, it's always talking about where's the jungler, where's the enemy jungler, where's our jungler. If he's going top lane, bot lane plays passive. If he goes mid lane, well, the side lanes have to respect it. They're not getting jungle help at the moment. That's stopping sOAZ, obviously, from getting an advantage. Caps is trying to zone Knight. Working pretty well.
Yeah, I was waiting for that force of will to see if he could land a good stun. And we're getting closer to 10 minutes, Deficio. Last week, Giants gave up first tower in all 3 of their games. 2 of those games, it was HeaQ and Hustlin that got pushed in by Hunt, Summer, and Ignar. And they gave up first tower around 10 minutes, 30 seconds in both of those matches. With the first backs, Soreta, Dirk, Tia, and BF Sword, do you expect Rekkles and Jesiz to be able to apply that tower pressure in this bottom lane?
Well, automatically when you get level 6 Malzahar, you just get an insane amount of pressure against almost any support in the game, simply because a jungler or a mid roaming and Malzahar is in flash ulti range means that you have to fear for your life. Because if he does that, you can't stop him, and then instantly you just get the roam and you get the kill. There's no way for Varus and Zyra to stop the Malzahar ulti other than the knock up from Hustlin. But that takes time, obviously, before it actually knocks him up, and you gotta predict the flash engage with Zyra ulti. And that is very, very difficult to do in time. So you have to respect Jesiz level 6. I like to see Malzahar's roam as well once they get it. He's not there yet.
No.
He actually needs to return to that bottom lane and get that 6, because that's his big spike.
Yeah, long way away. It looks like about a third of the XP range towards level 6, so long time. Rekkles been left alone in lane as Hustlin moved away. Also something to mention, 2 exhausts on the side of Giants, Knight and Hustlin. So if Caps is ever in exhaust range, that unleashed power could get chunked down. It really hurt Power People last week.
Yeah, and it's also going to hurt sOAZ a lot in fights. And oh, amazing!
Amazing's in, oh, he's dead! Ouchies!
Yeah, that hurt.
So Memento, last week, a little bit slow out of the gates. He had good mid-game team fights with Giants, but didn't have early game impact. I think this is a good turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, Kha'Zix is a nice champion, obviously, but Memento's playing this well so far, getting that first gank top and then now finding Amazing, and really Amazing not been able to have any impact in this game here. And we talked about early game jungler where strong solo lanes should allow Fnatic to snowball. But right now they're down 1,000 gold. Amazing has fallen behind and Elise has terrible scaling. Double exhaust versus sOAZ and Caps late game. And a big tank in Maokai. So far, it's actually looking pretty good for Giants.
All right, it's a good start to the series for a struggling Giants squad that ended up losing last week 2-1. Fnatic also lost 2-1, though their opponents, you could argue, of a stronger caliber.
I mean, fun fact, all 4 teams playing today lost last week. Like, it's like a loser's day.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, because Splice won.
Not anymore. Splice won, therefore, we'll find out who gets out of that loser's camp between Giants and Fnatic.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the loser camp.
We're 10 minutes into the game, Deficio. It's a 1,000 gold lead for Giants. And it's not significant, but against such an early laning composition and champion collection from Fnatic, it is surprising.
I mean, it is surprising. It's definitely, in my opinion, been the wrong focus from Amazing near the mid lane. Should have been towards top side to actually try and allow sOAZ to play more aggressive. I think the early warding as well that actually allowed sOAZ to get ganked was definitely an issue. That his movement in the lane then, depending on where the ward was, it's still okay if you're Fnatic. Like, there is still like plenty of time in this early to mid-game laning phase where you can get your advantage. What we want to see normally is Caps pushes out mid, he roams towards either top or bot lane and he dives. Problem for Fnatic is sOAZ used TP back to lane, and Flaxxish was actually smart and saved his. Sacrificed a few CS to walk back to lane. And that means now the dive bot lane from Fnatic is very risky because there's going to be a TP from Maokai. So it might be dive the tree up in the top lane.
All right, so either dive Maokai on the top lane or use some of that vision that is in the bottom quadrant of the jungle for Fnatic. You can see the control ward behind the red buff and just a couple others placed in. Jesiz now has level 6. Nether Grasp is available.
And this is just where you want to arrow as the Ashe and force a flash from either Varus or Zyra. Wait for the cooldown and then do it again. But you have to respect that teleport. Pro teams communication, early game, I highlighted how they talk about jungle. Where is he? Where can he be? Where is he? You know, where can't he be right now? They also talk globals all the time. Globals, cooldowns. Can we engage here? No, because this guy can TP there. Okay, fine. Or this guy can roam here. And it always stops them from going aggressive if they don't have the cooldowns or the roaming priority.
sOAZ is going very aggressive.
And now you go up here and dive him.
Into, sorry, Test of Spirit rather, with that leap of faith. So Flaxxish down to 50%. Where is Amazing? Nowhere to be seen.
Bottom side at the moment. Still has time to go up and actually kill him. It's hard for Fnatic to contest Dragon due to the teleport from Maokai, but a good way for sOAZ to maybe stop Flaxxish is by getting him low enough so he doesn't want to join a fight, and that's why we see Fnatic just back away from this one. And this is where you needed to make that play topside. Attack the global when the enemy team is focusing on bottom side, because you can't match this. You cannot match it without teleport.
No, you absolutely cannot. sOAZ continues to apply pressure, gets a test of spirit into a tentacle smash and hammering away, passing that on. So Flaxxish is going to get at least annoyed by some of that poke. Fnatic, they've given up first Dragon. They've given up the first 2 kills. This time around, Caps is able to secure that Sentinel thanks to a force of will.
Yeah, and Giants are doing the correct move here. They're playing bottom side with Maokai ready to join. This forces Rekkles and Jesiz to step really far back in their lane. They can't push anymore. They have to just kind of fear for their life under this turret here. You can see Memento is around. If he has a ward, there's actually one ward that's pinged now. TP to it as well. This is the dive.
This is the dive indeed. Rekkles and Jesiz, summoner spells are available. Memento leaps forward, flash and heal, exhaust, plus the enchanted crystal arrow. Rekkles down to 100. The sapling scores for Flaxxish, and it's Memento that gets a second.
And this is really well played by Giants. They understand how to use the global, how to get an advantage, but also Fnatic, shame on you. Shame on you for running around bottom side for over a minute. You knew this was going to happen against a TP advantage. We talked about it, we called it. Giants are focusing the bottom side. Rekkles and Jesiz fearing for their lives under that turret. Fnatic are trying to get a trade in mid, but also getting top tower. This is actually all based around Caps winning that lane with the damage he's gotten on that turret. And sOAZ, of course, takes top tower.
Okay, so 4 kills to Giants. It's 100% kill participation for Memento. Deficio, he's got 1,500 gold more than amazing, and it's because of plays like this.
Yeah, it definitely is because of plays like this, and Kha'Zix obviously will be much more impactful later on in the game. But we just have to highlight Caps winning that mid lane with some assist from Amazing earlier has allowed him to take this mid tower, and that was the thing that was not supposed to happen in the Giants game plan. It was supposed to be a trade. You get top tower, we get bot tower first and some kills. Sadly, they also lose mid because Knight is losing the lane.
Okay, so we summarize the advantage Memento has over Amazing. Amazing still hasn't dealt damage to an enemy champion at 14.5 minutes in the game with a jungler like Elise.
2 levels down.
They did get 2 towers in exchange for tower first blood and 2 additional kills. How bad is this for Fnatic?
I mean, it's obviously very bad for Fnatic. They were the ones who wanted to snowball early, but I still don't think it's the end of the world. They can still do something, like dive Flaxxish.
They're going to try to. The enchanted crystal arrow used to stun. Here comes sOAZ looking to chase forward. Slow onto Flaxxish. The Maelstrom comes out. Amazing's being burnt down. No, flashes away. But luckily, the kill is secured. Amazing sinks the fangs in. Giants have got a trade of a tower, and we've got a bit of a race on.
Yeah, the Maokai bought so much time here. He stopped Fnatic from just hitting the turret. This is buying a lot of time for Giants top lane. Caps is still just going crazy in the mid lane.
All right, Caps is up 20 CS and pushing Knight away. Giants, though, they may not be able to get this tower if sOAZ can get there in time. He's not going to be able to. Giants get 2 towers for 1 and the death of Flaxxish.
Only problem for Giants, honestly, is the fact that Syndra is getting so much damage in the mid lane. It comes down to the Syndra against the Corki, but also, again, some praise there with the Elise around mid. Everything else in the Giants' game plan has actually been really, really good. And you can't really put that in your game plan. Yeah, my mid laner will lose his tower very early on.
All right, so Giants have built themselves up a fantastic advantage. Only 2,000 gold. They've even on towers. They've got a dragon. Cloud's coming up soon. Deficio was the mid game where we had the biggest question marks last week. And take a look at that damage really quickly. Big advantages here for Giants because of the lead they've built up.
Yeah, I think early mid game, big questions last week for Giants. But late game against Misfits, they managed to come back in that one game. They were too far behind the other ones. So this TP coming in to set up the dive, to stop this Maokai from actually clearing the wave is smart by Fnatic, but it takes such a long time to kill him. And Jesiz didn't actually have ulti just when they went for the dive. It came up right after, and that would have made a huge difference. They were able to burst down the Maokai instantly and take in turret, but they were like 5 seconds cooldown on it. Mid lane engage.
Good flash, HeaQ's caught, and QSS. So, Hustlin is the target once that enchanted crystal arrow comes up again.
We saw this build here from Taps on Varus yesterday, the tier into Ghostblade. Yesterday against 3 tanks, I didn't like it. Today, I think it's good. because you're playing against a lot of squishies on the side of Fnatic. There's not really anyone who's going to stack a ton of armor very early, so lethality has value here. And the tier should add just extra mana for more poke, because you have Corki poke, you have Varus poke. Very, very strong siege.
Even Kha'Zix poke to an extent.
I guess even if he wants to join in, you know, he just wants to be part of the cool kids club here, but his poke, it's kind of meh.
It is kind of meh. It adds up, though. It adds up.
He's that friend who's just kind of there. He's not the funny guy, the cool guy, but he's part of the group. He's there.
You can see Knight and HeaQ spamming away. Caps coming to support. Deficio, I want to see if Giants have fixed some of their mid-game and late-game decision-making around where they are on the map. Last week, Giants gave up the highest amount of isolated deaths. Their team died 16 times when none of their teammates were around.
Yes.
Flaxxish was 5 of those, and Knight was 6. They can't afford to make those same mistakes if they want to win today against Fnatic.
Last week, they kept going like 3 lanes at once, and then, as you said, overextended and died. This time, they're playing the siege comp. So you're putting 4 men in the mid lane, and you start hammering away on this turret here, but you still gotta worry about your side lane. It is Knight's job to go down bot lane and actually push out this wave here. He really wants his Trinity Force. Like, feels bad to be like 19, 20 minutes in as a Corki. Obviously, he had to go Hexstringer, which delayed the power spike. But he's the man who wants to push out bot lane, but he can't really dual caps at the moment. So he has to just kind of push the wave and then go mid and start sieging and landing poke. But Giants needs to land the poke.
Okay.
If they don't, Fnatic can hard engage with full HP.
Don't land the poke, and we'll see if Rekkles can land the arrows. Hustlin is the easy target at the moment, with no flash available to him. And Dragon is up again as well.
And now you see Knight down bot lane, as we talked about, just catching the wave. He's not going to challenge Caps at the moment, just want to clear it out, push it back, and then leave once again. And that's a very classic way of playing like 1-4 comp. Because funny thing is about a 1-4, a lot of people seem to think that you only play 2 lanes. Like, we just ignore the 3rd lane. Like, you never ignore the 3rd lane. Because there's a lot of farm you need to pick up down there, and you need to farm every single lane. It's something a lot of people in solo queue don't seem to understand. And like, that's why they have much lower CS numbers, because they forget about a lane completely, and they sit mid for like 10 minutes and just sheer farm. Doesn't work.
No, it absolutely does not. Giants, we'll see if they can keep track of their side lanes. Even CS in the top. 10 difference in AD carries, 20 difference in mid laners. But looking at gold differences, it's really only the junglers that there's a lot to speak about. 1,000 gold separates Amazing and Memento. But who does he want to jump on? That's the question.
He really wants to show it to Fnatic.
Ashe Arrow, Nether Grasp, Unleashed Power. None of those things Knight wants to meet.
Here's the arrow.
Hey!
I guess that works.
There you go. There's the package. It's a defensive delivery.
Yeah, he was running out anyway. Doesn't last that long.
Do you like the 2 QSSs very early in Giants' build against all of the single target CC from Fnatic?
I do, because you're playing against hard engage as a poke comp. So you need to respect that engage, because the way poke comps always lose is they don't get to land any poke before the fight breaks out. Then they're kiting back, and they can't deal enough damage just by auto-attacking, and then they end up losing these skirmishes. But it is going to be so tricky for sOAZ to actually get into team fights. He's against disengage, a lot of ranged targets, and again, this double exhaust we mentioned. sOAZ's job is to win that side lane. He's building Black Cleaver. He's going to try and get some armor pin to get down this tank. But this is the siege we talk about in the 1-4 comp. You push out these side lanes, you go mid, and you just take that tower.
No defense from Fnatic, and the 4th tower is conceded at 21.5 minutes. sOAZ now shoving out this bottom lane as the Dragon is started off by Giants. And if sOAZ decides to stick around, he could be giving up an isolated death, is backing away wisely, and it's a 2nd Dragon of Giants.
And Creflo in the last game obviously betrayed all of us when he started praising Cloud Drake. Literally felt the knife going straight into my back when he said it. But he is correct. Once you start getting up and getting multiple of them, they have a lot of value, and they had a lot of value in siege comps. Because your job is, again, to sit really far back, move around, land skill shot, step away.
And push that side lane and get to the appropriate lane.
And get back to your team, yeah. So Cloud Drake in that sense has value. The only problem is, when you have 3 Cloud Drakes, even though that feels pretty good, you're like, but what if this was, you know, 3 Infernals maybe, or 3 Mountain Drakes?
Deficio, those questions are not appropriate, because it is a 3rd Cloud Drake coming up.
Again!
We've had a lot of Cloud Drakes in the opening two weeks of the Spring Split. But Deficio, we've talked so much about how Giants need to play their comp and how they need to maintain control. Outside of an Ashe arrow, which is the Captain Obvious response, what else can Fnatic do to try and stop this 4-1 and try and deal with this poke composition?
Buy more time so sOAZ gets even stronger in the side lane and actually starts getting legit kill pressure on the Maokai. So you have an effective, pure winning lane that can actually reward you towers and maybe even pressure on inhib. Because then if sOAZ gets the Maokai low, then Maokai can't TP anywhere. But right now, Maokai can still trade with him. Amazing is here, though.
Needs a lot of time. That's a good cocoon. Flaxxish flashes away, survives, and the tentacle smash doesn't connect. Passive from Test of Spirit does. The rest of Giants, they're pushing in the mid lane.
Pushing mid, they're gonna get a kill. Maybe another one.
Strangle Thorns. Jesiz is in trouble. Manages to get the exhaust out. Piercing arrow. Snipes Jesiz where he stands. Fnatic looking to take tower number 4. Lozok with very stressed looks on his faces. And Giants, they get themselves 2 kills and they equalize the towers.
Yeah, Fnatic trying to make that play in the bottom lane. We talked about sOAZ getting stronger and stronger so you can maybe win the side lane to try to snowball a little bit further by having Amazing there, but your base is dying.
The base is donezo. Fnatic lose their inhibitor at 24 minutes.
We need to see the replay and see how Caps got caught. Most likely it was just the Varus ulti that connected. He was stuck in place and it just took him down very, very easy.
With Flash and Ghost available, if that turns out to be true.
Let's see before we flame.
All right, let's see. See the replay before we flame. I like that approach. I mean, this is just going to enable this poke completely.
God damn it, you had Flash. Use it.
I mean, you knew that was going to be the answer,
I knew,
right?
but I wanted to see. I didn't believe it at first, Trevor. Benefit of the doubt, you know, I'm a nice guy. I'm like, no, that didn't happen. It happened. It actually happened.
The disappointment. The disappointment.
Because all Fnatic were trying to do there was just wave clear, one wave. Because when they managed to kill that wave, Amazing and sOAZ would then have taken the bot lane tower. And then, yes, you might lose the mid tower in the next wave, but at least you then trade turrets and you're trying to get sOAZ further ahead. When you then do not flash the Varus ulti and your main wave clear dies, well, then suddenly those towers drop real quick and you lose inhib as well.
GG, no re-inhibitor goes down. Fnatic, 4,000 gold, there or thereabouts behind. Memento still having a hell of a game. Got the right people ahead, managed to help out Flaxxish.
Yeah, himself, basically.
You know, great stuff. You know what it was? It was punishing Fnatic's decision-making. I think that's the best way to summarize it. Amazing did not go top lane. Memento did.
It is a dream for a Kha'Zix player to get a kill level 3 on a gank. Normally, you're not allowed to do that. It's the Elise who gets the kill. But now we get the European Classic, the Baron setup. And this is where we can improve as a region. It's fair to say. A lot of teams still struggle with these Baron setups and ends up being these 50-50 Barons.
I mean, it was a 50-50 Baron that allowed Giants to win a game last week.
Yeah, funny enough.
Misfits really struggled in game 1 of that series to convert the advantage that they had accrued. And, you know, Giants showed probably the best thing about their performances last week was their mid-game sort of team fights, I think, and how they coordinated. And we'll see if they can do even better with the lead. Although this time it's a different style because they don't want to be in a 5-on-5. They want to poke down and make Fnatic run away.
I'm 99% sure I saw Knight with the QSS earlier. Maybe he actually just undid it as soon as he bought it and he decided not to go for it because he feels like he can Valk out of the arrow. But if you are Giants now, step 1 is always push mid lane. They just did that. They pushed in mid. Rekkles is sitting back at his own base, trying to clear it out. And this now gives you access to enemy jungle. Very easy because you can see the AD carry is not there. You have a numbers advantage. You step into the jungle, you push the enemy out, you set up your vision, and you either sit there and wait for him to walk in and then you try and trap them, or you step back and you start the Baron and then do not react in time.
Both top laners have teleports available and Flaxxish is being pushed away. So with Spirit Visage, the Hammer and the Cleaver, sOAZ seems to be winning this matchup without assistance, which couldn't have been said a few minutes ago. And if there was an area of the map you did not want to Illaoi to teleport into and fight you, Baron and Dragon Pit would be one of those.
I want to see him get his Death's Dance though, so he gets sustain in this lane as well, and then Maokai cannot touch him at all, and sOAZ can just perma split push. He should never expect anyone from Giants to come down and help the Maokai. And that just allows sOAZ to play like aggressive. He can even start hitting turrets, go back and sustain on minions. This is the Baron setup we talk about, where Fnatic have been afraid to kind of face check into the jungle. So now it's being started Fnatic are reacting now, but it's very, very late.
It's going so quickly. Baron's already down to 50%. Teleport's coming in from Maokai. He's the first one to channel. 2,500. Stops amazing. Baron will be secured by Giants in the ensuing fight. Flaxxish is the target. Giants sacrifice him for Baron. They call worth.
Great setup. We mentioned get the jungle, control, get the wards down. Stop the Baron when you think the enemy team is not reacting in time because they can't just run in blind, and they did. They bought 2 or 3, 4 seconds. Didn't even have any mountain drakes to help them, but they could burn it down anyway. And they got sOAZ TP as a bonus.
What do Fnatic get with 30 seconds of Flaxxish death timer? Cloud Drake is available. Oh, but it just feels like such a small victory. Red buff as well. Couple of camps. That's it. Amazing on the blast cone actually gets sent completely the wrong direction. But that is now all of the tools that Giants need to push this game out. Look, Zyra picks up for Flaxxish as well, help him out in those side lanes. Baron on 4 members.
Debatable item here. Zyra is very good when it comes to, so because they got Baron buff and he's gonna join the team, or try to, then it makes sense, but Zyra as an item, if you're not close to a tower, is useless now. It's really bad, but if you have the pushing control, you can use it.
It's telling you that he wants the pushing control against sOAZ.
Yeah, he actually put it bot lane to stop the minions from pushing in, so he's using it the old school way, and you can still do that, but it's just not as effective.
A different style for the Zyra, a different style
just
for Giants.
Just go GA, man. Just go GA and be unkillable in a fight.
Maybe they don't want to fight, Deficio. Memento, his spirit is tested. They get poked out.
So, funny story. Can we just pan down to this Zyra real quickly? Because he actually plays it so far back, it's not even touching the minions at the moment. They die before they reach the minions. I realize we don't do it because it's not important, and this fight is more important, but I feel betrayed by observers now as well. It was also a very dumb request, so I understand. But they're actually not reaching the minion wave right now.
You break the magic. If the observers want to go look at the Zyra, they have to show you the little hand indicator. And we don't like doing... There we go! Picture in picture, thank you. Follow the minions.
It dies before... No! Anyway, just trust us right now. Okay, now it'll reach a minion. It will just reach the wave now.
Instructions unclear, Deficio. Use your words. Giants are sieging in the top lane. It's Flaxxish that's pushing in the mid lane. As long as Giants don't get caught out, look for the Ashe arrow. That has to be one of the opening tools. Rekkles sitting just out of vision, but...
Double QSS and then Valk from Corki. You're just gonna hit the Zyra, but she has flash.
Flashes down the road.
Oh, that's a lot of damage.
Big chunk of damage from that force of will.
An Edge of Night. I've now learned there's no Edge of the Night, exactly, but Edge of Night for HeaQ here. Very, very smart when it comes to actually sieging up, because you can then charge up that spell shield, step forward, get a few hits, and then step back. And the main reason you build it, though, is lethality, because your build is based around the armor pin.
I can't wait to cast Edge of Night being used next to Night. Night gets caught out by Scatter the Weak. Piercing arrows spammed up. Fnatic, they're posturing as if they want to fight, but they can't really just yet. sOAZ is rooted in place. Chain of Corruption's gonna spread to Jesiz. He's already used his exhaust. Defensive flash away. Memento's being tagged at least by the Malefic Visions, but it doesn't matter. Caps ate so much damage from that piercing arrow. The inhibitor is down, and Fnatic have to deal with supers. Baron is slowly ticking away. She may have just timed out, so...
It's enough.
It's enough for the Giant squad.
And I can inform everyone that the Zyra stopped the bot lane tower from even taking damage.
Well, there we go. Thank you.
Therefore, a successful buy from the Maokai. Even though we would have preferred...
Where is the new one? Did the new one get placed in the top lane? Yes, it did.
We would have preferred the GA. By we, I mean, obviously, you and me, Trev, because I'm now taking you on my side.
Dude, you speak on my behalf, like, 100%.
Great. I love Denmark.
So do I.
Great.
It's amazing.
It's fantastic.
I love Vaxaconda. It's like my favorite drink in the world.
Have you ever tried it?
No. That's Deficio. Fnatic are trying their hand at playing from behind. This was not what was expected. This was a game where Fnatic were anticipated to be the strong favorites, and a few early game mistakes set them so far behind.
Giants have not been behind all game long against Syndra, Illaoi, Elise with Maokai. Maokai? Why did I suddenly forget how to say his name? Was that correct? Maokai?
You were right first time.
Oh, I don't know. My brain just went like that was wrong. Maybe I was thinking of Maokai. I'm not sure. Like, it's kind of weird. Anyway, we're back, guys.
We are indeed. Deficio might not be. Knight gets tagged by a little bit of poke from sOAZ. He's finished off that Death's Dance, which is what you were anticipating, Deficio. Test of Spirit. Gonna instantly get chunked down, but look at the damage again onto Rekkles. One single Q from HeaQ, and that hurts. Ashe arrow not being fired yet, as the Hawk shot reveals at least where the Giants' position is. Teleport is up for sOAZ, but I don't think he wants to jump in yet behind the Giants squad. There's simply too much damage and too many exhausts to get through.
Yeah, and this top lane wave is pushing in with a little bit of help from the CC Rod. Again, it doesn't properly reach the minion wave, but it does start pushing it back like 30, 40 seconds. Oh, Cap's going in.
He's flashed in, the exhaust comes out. This happened last week, but it wasn't Caps on the Syndra. He's taken down, looking for the hero play. Fnatic have to defend with 4 members for 45 seconds. And Giants continue the siege and the pressure. As long as they've got poke and they've got mana, they can keep playing this style.
And we talked about it. Fnatic will struggle in the late game with their composition. Illaoi can't get into fights. There's double exhaust, there's a massive tank, and there are 2 AD carries shooting away on 5 fairly squishy, or let's say 4 squishy targets and an Illaoi, who's not a full tank. So it's too easy for the carries on Giants here to actually kill members on Fnatic.
It absolutely is. Ashe arrow flies by the wayside.
Oh, and there's a live TP.
With the desperation TP.
Do it.
Let's look for the ultimate. sOAZ is in trouble. He gets the ulti and then dies. There's no support and no one to follow it up.
That was the chance. That could have been the sickest play on Reddit. Instant front page. Sadly, for sOAZ, as we said, he's not that tanky, and he died. I feel like it kind of reflects the game for Fnatic. The chance to do something great, and it all falls flat. And now you're gonna try and stop Baron 4v5 with 2 inhibs down. We're gonna have to see some insane fight here from Fnatic to do anything. But they should just end up giving, they should just give up this Baron because they have to defend super minions. Knight is also showing up.
And all Giants have to do is play this one by the numbers. Wait for the supers to push.
Yep.
Wait for Fnatic to potentially contest Baron and poke them down or take Baron. At the moment, it looks like a contest.
Well, sOAZ has no teleport, so he can't, like, someone from Fnatic will stay back in the base, which meaning it's always going to be 4v5. And then the only thing you need to avoid, Trev, is 50-50 Baron. So if Fnatic steps in with Amazing to try and steal it, you Varus ulti, you Zyra ulti, you Maokai engage, and you just take the fight instead.
Knight is going to use that Valkyrie special delivery. Leave a trail of flames behind him. Fnatic throw themselves a pink blue trinket rather, into the pit and watch Baron go down. It's the second Baron of the game for Giants, and I want to go back to what we mentioned a few minutes ago. This was meant to be the series where Fnatic asserted they are currently the #2 team in the group.
Right.
We're meant to. And it is game 1 of the series. There is time to bounce back. But it is definitely not what we were anticipating.
No, and like, even if, you know, Fnatic ends up bouncing back, like, this kind of game, you know, looks pretty bad for them. Because they actually misplayed the early game so hard. And Giants played well. Giants have actually done a great job in this game here, getting this advantage, especially Memento on the Kha'Zix.
First pick was that Kha'Zix?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams really want to first pick Kha'Zix. Same again with Jesiz and Malzahar and so on, but he's definitely considered one of these super strong picks.
Top 2 picks. Vitality banned him out in the previous game.
Yeah, they kind of forgot the other one. What's his name again?
Rengo.
Oh, Rengo.
Yes. He managed to make it through, but for Fnatic, they managed to jump onto Flaxxish, scatter the weak stun as well. Flaxxish is still alive. If he had a GA, he could come back to life, but he doesn't have that option just yet. Rekkles flashes away. Jesiz goes down. So far, it's a 1-for-1. Flaxxish Memento, he jumps over, gets the reset, looking for Amazing, gets it, looking for another leap forward. sOAZ looking to chase down Knight. Blast Cone hype as Knight jumps away. sOAZ has a GA, but it's 1-on-4.
Life as an Illaoi. You're just running and running and running.
Members are running into the base. Ecstatic faces on the Giant squad. They turn their attention to the Nexus turrets. The first falls, the second's knocked over. Memento started the charge in the early game. He finishes the charge. Giants 1-0.
Well played, Giants. Fnatic needed to get ahead in the early game with this Elise, the Syndra Illaoi, but I think the focus was wrong. And I think the fact that Memento found some very easy openings was very strange. Also think back to that dive in the bottom lane with the TP advantage that was basically set up like a minute and a half in advance. And then Fnatic was trying to match bottom side. Go top lane, dive the Maokai. That's how you can try and even out this game, but they didn't do it. And you just fall too far behind. And we said it time and time again in pick and ban phase in the game. If Fnatic falls behind and gets to late game, they will struggle so much against this comp.
That's exactly what happened, and Fnatic lose game number 1. For more on how Giants won that match, let's send it to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. Still an entertaining game to watch. Fantastic from the Giants. Let's break down the early game where they started to build their advantage, even though mid wasn't going entirely their way, Stress. So where did they get their advantages?
Yeah, it was all from that bot lane play that started off. TP advantage. We'd already had a little bit of action in the game with the first kill going over to Memento. But then you look at the bot side. Rekkles is recalling. The TP's already coming through. And he knows even before he cancels that recall that this is already a very, very difficult situation to get out of. Really never going to, and Rekkles dies, Jesiz follows up as well. This is great planning by Giants to just exploit the TP advantage.
Yeah, it rolls further into some bot lane dives here. At this point, we're basically cross-mapping on two sides. So it was Fnatic getting behind on bot side. Right now, they're looking to kind of dive Flaxxish here, but they lose their top side. So look at what they're losing here. They take down Flaxxish and a turret, but Giants, because they have more momentum, and they made that play earlier that Stress pointed out, they're getting 2 turrets in the top side. So they're actually snowballing the map altogether.
And you were saying when we were watching this, before they got the 2 towers, actually, it doesn't matter that much that Fnatic is losing some ground because mid is being held by Caps and he's doing a great job.
I mean, we need to look at kind of what's happening here from a macro point of view. Giants is playing really well because the beauty of that play that Stress highlighted is not the fact that Flaxxish is actually able to press teleport. It's the fact that there's a ward there all of a sudden. They're actually pre-planning this. They know they're going to dive this. They have right target selection. All these things are gelling together for Giants. It's all set up. And then, of course, unfortunately for them, Caps is popping off.
Yeah, Cap's actually looking really good in the mid lane, despite the fact that later on he ends up getting picked off when, you know, Giants are so far ahead that you've got a Kha'Zix jumping at you and you can't really survive through. But, you know, you broke down a couple of Cap's plays before that game, and he still was looking impressive despite his team falling behind.
Yeah, dude's a good mechanical player. He wins lane. He didn't even need Amazing. Deficio was ranting about it. Amazing probably should have helped the side lanes a bit more, either snowball that bot lane with so much crowd control or the top lane. But for me, I just criticize Giants so often about no macro growth, always new teams, and today they surprised. They played super clean, crisp. Flaxxish and Memento, like, they took it home. They controlled the top side of the map against 2 veterans.
And a couple of important moments when you look at that mid lane, HeaQ kind of putting his authority on the game, as you see on the screen. A good scoreline from him in the game, but that flash forward with the ult that catches out Caps. Like,
we have a replay of this.
There we go, perfect.
Should have really avoided it, but that's so few times does Varus do that.
And that's exactly Caps. I mean, you can expect it, though. Like, you're making an excuse for him. That's nice, Stress. But, like, if you're in this position, when you're diving bot lane and you see 4 people in the mid lane and you're 3, guess what they're going to do? They're going to try and kill you. And if you're Caps right here, this happens too often. This is the other side of this kind of super aggressive player. You just traded your flash for your inhibitor.
It's meant less as an excuse, more that, like, Caps should at least be thinking about that. Because the reason Varus doesn't do that is because the number of times that's going to hit on a player with flash is, like, 0, because they always flash it. So less of an excuse.
Excuse for an excuse.
You're definitely right, because under the assumption that the Varus has a brain, he's never going to do it, because he's essentially going to trade this
and
flash. And a mouse. But, like, Caps should flash that.
Caps should flash that.
Not on reaction. It's exactly what Stress is saying. Like, or you just look at the minimap. Like, there's 2 people from your team trying to dive the bot lane. Therefore, your mind should go like, oh my God, they're going to cross map. They have to get something here or they lose, and just flash it, or you lose your nib.
We know that's something we've seen from Caps last week, and I just want to maybe also sort of an excuse. Giants, as you say, did play this very well. They made the right decisions, and they maybe even put the entire team a bit on tilt. And because we criticize Barons and 50-50 Barons all the time, this is how you do it.
Look at this beauty. Complete Fog of War, immediate start. Fnatic is late. Flaxxish, teleport to stop the jungle. This is perfection in terms of Baron plays. It could have gone wrong if Flaxxish actually doesn't get the Amazing down, but he has the sacrifice in mind. dies for the team.
And now after a performance like that for Giants, I have to look at that. I want to see them continue this because this is where the move to best of 3 could punish. If Giants cannot maintain this and end up somehow losing 2-1 to Fnatic, Giants get nothing despite playing beautifully in game 1. In the old system, they would have scored a very, rare point against a team that you'd expect to be looking at the top. But Giants look great. They got to keep it up.
They would get that quality tie. I just want to point out, I just really like the way the composition was made up, kind of stylistically. Tank on Flaxxish, carry jungle on Memento, especially with Kha'Zix, which I love. Just a crazy good pusher on the mid lane for Knight, so he shouldn't technically die 1v1, you can just play wave control, and then HeaQ and Hustlin on meta picks.
Yep.
Like, so often, Rekkles and Jesiz kind of have this affinity to go for a little bit more niche picks. Just play meta versus them, and they shouldn't be able to kind of smash your lane.
And for Giants, they did also take that game 1 versus Misfits last week. And as you say, they need to be able to drive it home because that will pay out dividends. Getting a series win over Fnatic in the long run for Giants would be fantastic. We're going to take a break.
Insane.
But it would actually be insane. You could also use a number of... Never mind. Remember, after this series, we'll have our Friday night edition of PGL, where we'll be looking back on tonight's game and diving deeper into how the winners got their first points of the split. But coming up next, game 2 between Fnatic and Giants. Stick around.
Look at the stun! Look at the stun! Knight! He exhausts caps and Valkyries away. I was convinced he was going down. This is the dive indeed. Rekkles and Jesiz summoner spells are available. Memento leaps forward. Flash and heal. Exhaust plus the enchanted crystal arrow. Rekkles down to 100. The sapling scores for Flaxxish. And it's Memento that gets a second. Giants, they're pushing in the mid lane.
Pushing mid, they're gonna get a kill. Maybe another one.
Strangle thoughts. Jesiz is in trouble. Manages to get the exhaust out. Piercing arrow. Snipes Jesiz where he stands. Rekkles flashes away. Jesiz goes down. So far it's a 1-for-1. Flaxxish Memento, he jumps over, gets the reset, looking for amazing, gets it, looking for another leap forward. sOAZ looking to chase down Knight. Blast cone hype as Knight jumps away.